The comeback, the transformation, the new beginning. The hours we put in when no one was watching. The long nights, the drive to make it right. The work you don't see until it starts to show. The comeback. Every sprint, every push, every release. All for this. We rebuilt what needed to be better. To deliver the RMM
Wait! You forgot to put a closing bracket there.
Oh, yeah.
To deliver the RMM you asked for. The one you deserve. Because that's who it's for. You. The techs who pushed us. The users who challenged us. The Redditors who Reddited us. This is the comeback. We made a stronger tool that's automation ready with more patching, smarter alerts, faster scripts, and deeper data visibility. ConnectWise RMM.
Visit the ConnectWise booth to learn more.
Hello and welcome. I'm Jessica Jacobs, our Senior Director of Product Support at ConnectWise.
And I'm Reese Crosby, Partner Development Executive at ConnectWise. Welcome.
Welcome. And we have a special guest with us, Peter Kujawa. Welcome.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Yeah, glad to have you. So, Peter, you have such a unique perspective, seeing both the data and the partner community. How would you describe the state of the MSP industry right now?
Easy. I would describe it as extraordinarily good. The MSP industry is on its best in the hopefully mid stages, but we are somewhere in the stages of our best 6-year run ever. Revenue growth is down from the crazy days during COVID, but healthy, back to a historical norm. Profitability is higher than ever. Last 6 years have been a great 6 years, and we don't see an end in sight to that. We think things are really, really good right now. The data looks great.
Awesome, yeah. So at the keynote last night, you were going over some numbers. So what are some of the biggest takeaways from the latest service leadership data?
Q3 was a strong quarter overall. The bottom quartile folks lost less money last quarter than we've seen in the past several years. Best in class was about 24% profitability on average, so really good. Growth was really strong. Managed service revenue organic growth in Q3 was 10.6%, which is the highest it's been in about 7 or 8 quarters. And the other number that I didn't talk about last night, but it's a really important number for MSPs, is project services revenue. Project services revenue is a really good indicator of the health of the SMB economy for MSPs, because if I'm a small business, medium business, and I'm a little concerned about the economy and I think things might get a little rocky for my business, I'm gonna hold off on projects. I can't really hold off on managed services or cybersecurity or some of the other things. I need to do those things every month. So those are what they are for spend for me. But I can easily cancel or delay a project. And so when we see project service revenue go down, especially if we see it for consecutive quarters like we did at the end of last year, that's a little disconcerting for us. But the last 2 quarters, we've seen really good growth in project service revenue. So we think every indicator that we're looking at, we feel really good about the health of the economy for our MSPs and the health of the MSPs themselves.
Awesome. So where do you see MSPs struggling the most, and do you see opportunity there?
Yeah, I'll try to answer it quickly. Some MSPs are run at a very high operational maturity level, and some are not. So while revenue growth is there, while the opportunity is there, and the best in class are delivering really good results and really good profitability, the reality is that's the top 25% of partners. The bottom 25% of partners, they're maybe losing money one quarter, making a little money the next quarter. They're working really, really hard, and they're not seeing the return in their businesses. So they have to fix that. And the opportunities there, when you look at the data, for example, everybody is spending a fortune to bring on a new customer. Our data says that on average, MSPs spend about $27,000 of customer acquisition cost for every new managed service customer they bring on. It's a lot, right? Even best in class are spending that. The difference is the best in class are bringing on managed service customers at 42 or 52% gross margin, bottom quartile are down around 40% gross margin. Well, if I'm spending the same $27,000 to bring the customer in, but one provider is getting 20% better gross margin dollars from that new customer than the other one is working really hard with not much to show for it afterwards. So the data says that there's big differences between how some MSPs are running their businesses and others are.
Awesome. So one of the things you mentioned was projects, right? Revenue from projects. Do you think that some of that is attributed to partners leveraging AI and being able to use their techs for more revenue generating projects?
We're starting to see some AI project revenue for sure. So I don't know if the saying is what's old is new again or what's new is old again. Either way, it feels a lot like the early days of the managed service model evolution, where managed service agreements were very limited in what they included, and MSPs had a lot of projects, that there was a lot of billable tickets and project revenue. It feels like that right now for AI. Most of the MSPs I talk to who are doing getting some good revenue out of AI, it is coming in on projects. So we're starting to see a bump on project revenue tied to that. I don't think that that's happening at a broad enough basis yet, that that's what's really moving the needle for project service revenue improvement. I think that's still traditional cloud migrations, hardware deployments, and the things that are really the bread and butter for every MSP historically.
Okay. Anything really surprising in the data this year?
Well, there's always surprises in the data, Reese. Every quarter is like, to quote our guest keynote tomorrow, like a box of chocolates. You never know what the data is going to show you. But I think the really interesting thing to me continues. There's so many things going on in the space right now. We continue to see record multiples for M&A. Those continue to increase. We continue to see new companies coming in to buy MSPs, which is another sign that indicates the health of the industry and the business model. So I don't have an answer for you on what most surprises me, but every quarter it's fun to go into the data. You know, maybe I do have an answer for you, and I showed it on stage last night, and that was, we measure service multiple of wages is the relationship between service revenue and service labor cost. So if I'm an MSP and my total cost of labor for my technical services team is $1 million a year, I should be generating X dollars of revenue off of that labor. Best in class today is about 2.7. So in other words, if I have $1 million of service labor cost, I should be generating about 2.7 million of service revenue for managed services, project services, and billable tickets. Okay, so that would be a 2.7 service multiple of wages. The biggest surprise I've had in the past 6 months was when we decided to run the analysis that I showed on stage last night back to 2008. I fully believed that we would see a nice continuous improvement going back to 2008 because the tools have gotten better. The model of managed services has gotten better. MSPs know how to run their operations more efficiently today than they did 10 years ago, 12 years ago. So we fully expected we would see a steady improvement in service multiple of wages. But instead what we saw was an improvement till 2012 and then a decline since 2012. And that was shocking. So we went back and we ran a bunch of layers of additional analysis, and what we found was that, yeah, MSPs have gotten more efficient. And yeah, the tools have gotten better. And yes, MSPs have gotten better at doing price increases. But all of those gains have been offset by wage inflation, which has increased at a faster rate than those efficiency gains and those price increases. So that's what's exciting to us with AI and automation, is we can finally get ahead of that. We can finally get some leverage on that relationship between service labor and service revenue. So that's been the biggest surprise to us.
Yeah, so operational maturity and then data-driven management seems like that's the key to sustained growth down the road.
Yeah, unless you know what your numbers are telling you, you don't know how to improve those numbers. So We talk all the time about the importance of benchmarking. Understand how you are doing, not only relative to your historic performance, are you doing better, are you doing worse in some areas, but understand how you're doing compared to the top quartile companies, the best in class. So when you benchmark with service leadership, and you can do that as a standalone, you can do that through joining IT Nation Evolve. Everybody in Evolve benchmarks, so everybody knows their data and knows how they stack up. If you know your data, you can improve it. If you don't know how you're doing and how you're doing compared to the industry, you can't. When we first joined and started to benchmark, little story for you, as an MSP, I was new to the industry. So I had to rely on what my employees were telling me were some of the aspects of performance. And my employees and my sales team had me convinced that we could not get more than 13% gross margin on hardware. That because our MSPs could go online and go to the manufacturer's sites and price out some of this equipment, that 13% was the best we could get. And I'm like, really, guys? That seems really low. And month after month of me pushing, I finally gave up and said, okay, I guess this is the business model. Don't make anything on hardware, make it on service, and move on. Well, we got our first benchmarking report back, and best in class was 23.5% on hardware. So I went back to the office and said, hey guys, see this? How are they doing it when their customers can also go online and shop them against their pricing? And going forward, our KPI that you're all going to be measured on is us hitting this number. And the following month we hit it. We never missed best in class after that.
There you go.
And for us, we were doing $1 million of hardware. Moving from 13% to 23% was an extra 100,000 of profitability without doing a single additional sale. And we didn't lose any customers on it. It was fine. It was a non-event. But had I not known the data, we would have continued on with the way it was. And that's a simple example. We have over 80 KPIs in our system, but that's the power of benchmarking.
Yeah. And you mentioned, getting our Evolve members involved in the benchmarking and the data and what that looks like. What's new for Evolve next year that our partners can expect? Or maybe to get involved, by signing up for Evolve?
Yeah, there's a couple of really exciting things that we've announced this week. Number one is Service Leadership and Evolve both launched a product called Essentials. So Evolve Essentials is designed for partners that are between $750,000 and $1.5 million in revenue, approximately. That's a time that it's pretty tough to carve out time to go to peer group meetings. I don't have a big finance staff. And so we realize that partners who are 5, 6, 7 employees, that's a really hard time to run an MSP. And by the way, that's also when the highest percentage of MSPs fail and go out of business. So we started Evolve Essentials. It's a lower cost entry point. It includes Service Leadership Benchmarking Essentials, which is a totally new product. That's about 1/7 the data entry needed for benchmarking. So it's a lot easier to enter your data as a small partner. You don't get as much usable comparisons out, but that's fine. At least it starts to teach you how to look at your business. And so we've launched both of those programs this week. Evolve Essentials is fully virtual, so I can join. I don't have to worry about travel and getting to a meeting. And then as I get bigger and grow my MSP, I can graduate into full Evolve. So it's an entry point. Service Leadership Benchmarking Essentials is an entry point. They're both designed to help get smaller partners into the mix. So those are probably the two most exciting. There's a lot of additional things we'll be doing next year in the Evolve community to continue to reinforce OML and high OML practices through Sleek, which is our online coaching tool. And so there's a lot coming, but those are the two most exciting things that are here.
Nice. Yeah, so you touched on a lot of it already and how it's helping Evolve members and partners, how they're using benchmarking more effectively. Is there anything specific that you would say has helped them the most?
Yeah, sure. a key part of being in a peer group is accountability. And, you know, as a business owner or business leader, you hear accountability and a lot of people are like, really? And I get to pay for that? But in reality, the accountability that you get in the groups is priceless. You have effectively a board of directors that you're gonna go in every quarter and you don't compete against them. They're just like you, they run MSPs. And so they get to share best practices and ideas, but they also all can see each other's data. So they get to look and say, wait a second, you're doing really well on service gross margin. How are you doing it? I'm really struggling there. And they can say, well, what are we gonna do to fix that? Next quarter, you come into the meeting and they're gonna say, hey, Jessica, did you do these 3 things that you committed to do last quarter? And I can tell you as somebody who was in a peer group for 10 years, that accountability to a business leader is like nothing else. I know I'm going to that meeting. I do not want to go to that meeting and report back in that I did not get done what I said I was going to get done and needed to get done in my business. I want to go to that meeting and report in the success that I'm having. So that's what drives transformation. The impact the members have on each other, the knowledge of what drives success, and coupling that with that accountability model and that peer-to-peer feedback and sounding board, it's like no other community out there. And that's why Evolve members grow faster and are more profitable than the community outside of Evolve.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head. Evolve combines data and accountability to help our MSPs lead for more purpose and clarity. So it's really impactful to our IT Nation community.
Yeah, it also, that community is built on the book, The Go-Giver, and the community is also about personal transformation and not just focusing in on bottom line, but what's the legacy you're gonna leave? What's the legacy you're gonna leave your community? What's the legacy you're gonna leave your family? Because we're all gonna leave a legacy someday, whether it's intentional or unintentional. So Evolve is designed to be really intentional about that as well, and to really make sure you're making an impact on the community, the members, the others around you. So it's not only about generating better companies, it's about building better people, better leaders, better spouses, better parents. And so it's really an incredible community. It's such a privilege for me to get to be a part of it.
Awesome. So you had mentioned the new Essentials, right? So with Essentials, how would smaller partners start getting involved with that and leveraging that to be more efficient internally?
So a small partner with Benchmarking Essentials enters their data in. They have a streamlined path to do that. So any partner of any size, we built it for them, but it's really built for the smaller partners. Again, the sub-million or sub-1.5 million. Evolve Essentials, just join Evolve Essentials. We do an onboarding. We'll help teach the partner about how to get set up on benchmarking. We'll make it really easy for them. We'll get the partner into the community and they'll start to attend meetings. Each of those meetings will have different focus, but it's designed to be a program that isn't a forever program. If they come in and do the things that they're taught to do, they should be in Evolve Essentials for maybe a year and a half, and then they're too big for it. Then they need to move to full Evolve, and at that point they'll be ready for it, and we'll help them on that transition as well.
Awesome. So what kind of impact do you see this having across the partner ecosystem?
We think it's going to have a huge impact when MSPs are at their most vulnerable. So our data says that at every size range, you can be best in class profitable and you can be bottom quartile. We ran a chart last year that looked at under $1 million of revenue, 1 to 3, 3 to 6, 6 to 10, 10 to 15, 15 to 25, 25 to 50 million, and greater than 50 million of revenue. And there's a fallacy out there that I have to be really big to be really profitable or best in class. In reality, in every one of those size ranges, at least 22% of partners were best in class profitability. That being said, the under $1 million had the highest percentage of bottom quartile. It was 33% of partners. And the reason is, that's really hard to run a business then. I can be doing really well one day, lose my biggest customer, and all of a sudden I'm unprofitable. I can add an employee too early and not realize that I can't afford that employee. I add that employee and I go from making money to not making money. So that's a really, really tough time to run an MSP. And we think once you get to that $1.5 million size range, that you should be in a position where you have a foundation underneath you, and we should be able to help you scale up from there. But getting the MSP community, we want to see a higher percentage of smaller and newer MSPs succeed, grow, and graduate into that next size range.
Yeah, so this allows every partner in the ecosystem to leverage data, insight, and accountability to grow their business.
You bet. We have in Evolve, we have companies now that are doing $1 billion of revenue and doing over 100 million of EBITDA, all the way down, and this really creates an offering for the smallest of MSPs.
Thank you.
So, Peter, we've talked about service leadership, we've talked about Evolve. Let's get into IT Nation. This is where we're at right now. So,
Yeah,
what's in store for 2026?
A lot. I mean, you know, Jessica, it's still we're still here. It's 2025, so
We're only halfway through.
no, our mission, the mission I was given from Manny Ravello a year ago when I took over IT Nation, was these events maintain community, maintain what's made the IT Nation special, but let's grow this thing. So we've really made a couple of very significant changes for future years. The most noticeable is internationally, we now have IT Nation Connect in ANZ and in EMEA every year. We used to do an every other year cadence with those, but that was too long between those events. So starting this year, we did both geos, and we'll do both geos each year going forward. North America, this is our flagship. This is our most important event, obviously. It's our largest event. And the mandate was grow it. And when I say grow it, it's not just bringing in more solution partners and sponsors. The number one measure for us is how many MSPs are here, okay? It's easy to report on total attendance, but we measure closely how many actual MSP attendees are here. And this year we'll be up 10 to 12%. And most events are declining. So it was really important to us that we not follow the pattern that we've seen with our events up until this year. Heading into this year, our team is fully focused on increasing the number of MSPs that come to IT Nation events. Only if they're here can they realize the benefit of the community, can they get the benefit of the content, and nobody has content like we do. It's a massive competitive differentiator. And so, but you have to be here to experience it, right? And so we reduced ticket prices significantly. We kicked off our early bird promotion. We announced that today. So $300, you can register if you register this week, you can register and get the lowest price by far you will see. And the super early bird promotion on site has been really successful internationally. I think it's going to be a huge hit here. So we want to make the events affordable, but this year, success, we grew the event from last year, and that's our goal for next year too. 2 years from now, we will move the event to a facility to the Gaylord that will allow us to go even bigger in turn. So we're already starting our talk tracks on 27, but for now, we're enjoying 25 and starting the planning for 26.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been such an amazing event. Just seeing our partners walk around right now, it's a really exciting feeling.
Yeah, one thing before we start the next question, I wanted to mention, being here, being in person is really key, because like Gary Sinise is doing the keynote tomorrow, but you have to be present for that. That's not going to be streamed. You actually have to be on site. So that just drives being physically at IT Nation Connect is a huge advantage.
Yeah, and we moved Gary Sinise to 1 o'clock tomorrow. And then we have our closing party after that. So, if you want to go catch a flight tomorrow night, go. Yep. You want to hit downtown Disney, or what's it called, Disney Springs these days? Yep. I'm getting old, you can tell. My kids are grown. Go hang out at the pool, go spend time with your family, go do whatever. But Gary Sinise is going to be awesome. Everybody knows Gary as Lieutenant Dan. I read his autobiography, and his life story is amazing. What he has done is a great example of a single person making a decision that I'm going to make a difference, and the ripple effect that that has on others, and the impact that one person can make on thousands, tens of thousands of lives. I mean, we talk about Arlen Sorensen in our community and the impact that he's had on probably hundreds of thousands of lives at this point, maybe millions. And Gary Sinise is an incredible reflection of that. So I cannot wait for our community to join tomorrow and get to hear what Gary Sinise has to say. It's going to be great.
Yeah, super excited. So speaking of IT Nation 2026, are there any new themes or formats that you can share with us yet?
Not yet, Jessica.
All right, I just wanted to get the end.
I mean, I can tell you my philosophy on these events is I'm a believer that the number one reason that MSPs come to our events is the content. Number two is networking. Number three is to have a great time. So everybody talks about the events. I mean, Goo Goo Dolls, how could you beat that last night?
It was amazing.
It was unbelievable. How many of you were at Goo Goo Dolls last night? Anybody? Great, right?
Yeah.
I couldn't wipe the smile off my face all night. Just amazing. But in reality, when I was running an MSP, if I'm deciding whether I'm going to take my valuable time out of my office and take a step away and travel and go to an event, the fun, the entertainment stuff, that's not going to be enough. I need to go because of what I'm going to learn. It's going to transform my business and the connections that I'm going to make there.
Yep.
And so for me now, leading IT Nation, that's the way we're looking at it, is how do we continue that? How do we bring differentiated content? How do we bring a differentiated experience for networking and meeting other people and making those really valuable connections? And then how do we make sure you have a good time when you're here that you're going to remember? So that's the order we look at it.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. I think it's such a transformative event, not just for our partners, but for us too that work at ConnectWise. Like, I was at the Women in Tech luncheon today, and I just met some wonderful women. We shared LinkedIn profiles so that we could stay in touch and create that community, and that's really what it's all about.
Yeah, that's the differentiator with IT Nation. It's all about community.
Right. So if you could share one piece of advice for MSPs going into 2026, what would that be?
My piece of advice would be obviously focus on automation. Whatever size of partner you are today, that was the point of the keynote panel last night. We had different size of partners up there from all over the world, all of whom are getting significant impact today from automation. This is not a theoretical discussion. This is not just about what's coming in the future. This is an opportunity that's here today. But in the process of focusing in on automation, make sure you're also really, really dialed in on sales and marketing and growing your business, because our data tells us that half of partners are not growing their businesses anywhere close to where they should be today. And over 20% of partners are not growing their business at all. So, while you're focusing on automating, while you're focusing on taking advantage of AI, all these opportunities that come along, don't lose sight of the basics of running your business. Make sure you're investing in sales and marketing. Make sure you're improving the operational maturity level of the rest of your offerings. Cybersecurity is an untold story, I think, right now with AI, or maybe an undertold story. Yeah, AI is going to open up all these new AI opportunities, but it also is creating a huge amount of challenge in cybersecurity, and partners are going to need your cyber expertise more than ever. So make sure you're taking advantage of that opportunity as well.
Yeah. All right, so final question.
Yes.
For partners not currently in Evolve, what is their best next step?
Get a hold of our team. If you're here at IT Nation, stop by the Evolve booth. We have an incredible offer that's in effect just for the month of November. And so if you're here at IT Nation, stop by the Evolve booth, talk to our team. We can tell you more about what's involved and what would be the best fit for you in terms of Evolve programs, what's available based on where you're at as a partner today. And we've priced it to be incredibly affordable for every size of partner. So price will not be an issue for you. The biggest issue we run into with Evolve is, are you ready to make a commitment to getting better? And are you going to show up at the meetings, do the work? If you do, think of it as getting in shape and taking on a fitness program. If all you do is buy the treadmill and throw it in the basement, it's not going to get much done for you. You got to be willing to get on, walk, and run. Otherwise, you're not going to get the benefits.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you for the valuable insights today. We appreciate you stopping by. Looking forward to the rest of the afternoon and, of course, tomorrow as well. So we'll see everyone at Universal Studios this evening.
And don't forget, we do have a special going on for IT Nation. Peter's brought it up. We brought it up. It is $300 right now. You cannot beat that to join IT Nation 2026 next year.
Yes.
So
Take advantage of that. Bye, everyone.